So now you're on steps 3 and 4 of the Resume Lab using Microsoft Word. And what we're going to be doing here is setting your margins and your line spacing. So the very first thing we're going to do in step 3 is on this new blank document that you've created, we're going to click on Layouts and then Margins, and then we're going to select Normal. So let's go ahead and do that. Pull up the blank document, and we are going to go to Layout and then Margins. And all of these are left clicks. You're going to do a left click anytime you're selecting something. So go ahead and click on that. And you'll see that it defaults already to 1-inch margins, but you can take a look at some of these other options and you can set those for other projects that you're doing or for other letters. You can also come down here and click on Custom Margins, and then you can individually change all of these. But we're just going to leave it on normal. I just wanted you to know exactly how to change your margins and where to do that. So we'll go ahead and click on that, even though I didn't have to. Okay, now there's another part of step 3. So still on the layout ribbon, this is the toolbar. This is the layout tab on that toolbar, and all of these options underneath layout, those are known as a ribbon. So I want you to go ahead and look at orientation, make sure it's in portrait. You're going to look at size and make sure it's in letter. It is. It's a default to that setting, but I'm going to have you look at it. And then over here under spacing, we'll take a look at what that is set to, and we're going to make sure it's set to 0. So just pull up my document. And so we've already done the margins. Still here on layout, we're going to take a look at orientation. And this is where you choose the difference between portrait and landscape. Portrait just means it's facing up. Landscape means it's on its side, and you can do that. But for normal business documents where they're in Word, you're almost always going to be in portrait. So we're already in portrait. Size, you can set a whole bunch of different sizes for your printer and for your document. We're just going to stick with the normal 8.5 by 11 letter. That is the default. Once again, I just wanted you to know where to find that. And then over here, see spacing, it says after, and then it says 8 point. This is for spaces after your paragraph. So this is before your paragraph or after your paragraph. Word defaults to having 8 points after your paragraph. Now, just like in the business letter, where I had you change it to 0, the reason for that is because in a resume, you're going to be hitting enter a lot, and I don't want you to have extra spaces unless you want them. So it's best just to bring this down to 0. And you can either highlight this and type 0 on your keyboard, or you can come over here and left click on this down arrow and you can bring it down to 0. Either one of those is fine. Also take a look at this little arrow down here at the bottom. If you left click on that, you'll see you have a lot of options here. Do pay attention to the fact that you have line spacing here. This allows you to select what you want. Single is 1, 1.5, double, and then a bunch of other options I'm not going to get into. But if you do multiple, you can choose a higher level. So this is defaulted at 1.08. This is basically single spacing, just with a little bit more. If I chose single, it goes away, but what is really normally there would be 1. Now if I actually type 1 in there, it says it's multiple. Multiple just means it's something other than these settings right here. But 1 multiple is exactly the same thing as single with nothing there. It just means 1. Now if you want to do line spacing not in this place by having to click here, there is a line spacing button on the Home tab of the toolbar. So see right here, you don't have any actual line spacing buttons. That's because it's back here, and you can find it under Paragraph right there. And if you click on that, you'll see the 1.0 for single. Now this one has an option for a 1.15, which gives you just a little bit more space than the 1.08, which is the default. This is fine. This is still considered kind of single spacing. It just gives you a little bit more room if you feel like your words are too crowded. So those are the two places you can set your line spacing. but we've already changed it. And even here on home, again, if you click on this button under paragraph, same exact window as was on layout. Microsoft does this a lot. They give you different places to do the exact same thing. And the reason is because they want it to be convenient for you. If you're on the Layout tab, obviously things like line spacing and extra spaces after paragraphs can also be considered something that you would set up while you're doing your layout, but it's also something that you might want to do as you're doing all these other normal things as you're in your document. So they give you multiple places to do this. So let's take a look at the next steps. We've done everything in step 3. And the note that I was just talking about on the Home tab and where you can find the line spacing button, that's also right there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do the line spacing, and I do want you to do the 1.15. Click on the button, and it doesn't matter if you click here or on the arrow, the same thing happens. If you click anywhere on that, this comes up. And I want you to choose the 1.15, so we'll left click on that. And that's it for steps 3 through 4.